Everything you have been told about staying warm in a blizzard is a product designed to be sold to you, not a system built to keep you alive. The outdoor gear industry is worth over $10 billion a year, and somewhere in that pile of money, the oldest, most effective cold weather knowledge in this country got buried. While you were being sold moisture-wicking base layers and phase change insulation panels at $300 a jacket, the men this society has decided to forget. Unsheltered black men sleeping on the streets of Chicago, New York, Detroit, and Minneapolis have been surviving blizzards, polar vortexes, and nights so cold the city ambulances ran out of trucks, not with gear, with knowledge. Knowledge this country has been looking past for generations. Tonight, you are going to get that knowledge back. January 2019, Chicago, polar vortex, wind chills of -46 degrees Fahrenheit. The National Weather Service called it one of the most dangerous cold events in the city's recorded history. Pipes were bursting. The CTA literally set the train tracks on fire to keep them from cracking. And in the middle of all of it, a man named Tom Gordon was out there. No hotel, no heated apartment, no $200 sleeping bag. Tom had industrial garbage bags layered over his bedding, cardboard between his body and the frozen concrete, and a small tin can holding lit mesquite charcoal he scavenged from a dumpster a block away. Time magazine found him. He was not close to dying. He was warm enough to talk. Tom Gordon is not an anomaly. He is the living heir to a survival tradition stretching from the Underground Railroad to the Buffalo Soldiers, to the communities building warmth 60 feet beneath the streets of New York right now. These men survive blizzards not by luck, but by understanding how heat actually works, and by using what the rest of us throw away. So here is the question you need to sit with. Why does a man with nothing know more about staying alive in the cold than most people who own a closet full of gear? Tell me in the comments, have you ever been stuck somewhere cold with the power out or your car broken down, where everything you had was not enough? Because what you are about to learn will change how you see warmth, survival, and what it means to be truly prepared. Here is the part that should make you angry. The modern survival industry sold you warmth as a product, but here is what they delivered. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cold-related deaths in America more than doubled between 1999 and 2022. Roughly 2,520 Americans died from hypothermia in 2023 alone, up 35% from a decade earlier. More gear, more technology, more people dying from cold. That is not a failure of individual preparation. That is the failure of a system that replaced principles with products. Here is what the United States Army Survival Manual has known for decades. Warmth is not about material. It is about trapped air, still dead air that your body heats and holds. A $300 jacket and crumpled newspaper stuffed in your coat work on the exact same physical principle. The Army calls it dead airspace. The gear company calls it proprietary insulation technology. They charge you $300 for the label. And who has been paying the price? Black Americans make up 13% of the United States population and approximately 40% of the unsheltered homeless population, according to the National Alliance to End Homelessness. The rate of homelessness among Black Americans sits at 54 per 10,000, the highest of any racial group. These numbers trace directly to redlining, discriminatory housing policy, and mass incarceration. The system failed these men first, and then, when the temperatures dropped, it expected them to disappear quietly. They did not. And here is exactly what they learned. Trick 1. Ground insulation before anything else. The Army Survival Manual is unambiguous. Conductive heat loss to frozen ground moves 25 times faster than heat loss through air. It does not matter how many layers you wear on top. If you are lying on bare concrete, your body heat is draining out through the floor in a continuous stream. Every experienced, unsheltered person in every documented account from Chicago, Portland, and New York starts here and begins with ground protection. Cardboard first. Always cardboard first. Trick 2. Cardboard is not junk. Corrugated cardboard has an insulating value of roughly R3 to R4 per inch. Jason Everly, documented by Street Roots in Portland in 2019, described his winter sleep setup with methodical precision: a layer of cardboard, a blanket, his body, then a blanket on top. Retailers and restaurants discard flat pack boxes every single night. They call them trash. Everly called them a mattress. Trick 3. Moisture kills faster than cold. One Portland vendor told Street Roots directly, "I don't worry that I'll freeze to death. I worry about getting wet. That's worse than anything. Water destroys the air pockets that insulate you." Wet clothing conducts heat away from skin at 25 times the rate of dry clothing. Dry is warm, wet is dead. Trick 4. Use a trash bag as your outer shell. It is not glamorous, but it creates a vapor and wind barrier that stops convective heat loss completely. Tom Gordon in Chicago layered industrial garbage bags over his bedding. The Army calls this the wind layer, the outermost shell of its entire cold weather system. A black trash bag does the same job. Trick 5. Stuff crumpled newspaper inside your jacket. Not folded. The irregular shapes trap pockets of still air, the exact same physics as high-end down insulation. Down traps air between fiber clusters. Newsprint traps air between folds. The insulator is always the AIR. The material is just architecture. Trick 6. Cover your head without exception. The Army Survival Manual states an unprotected head accounts for 40 to 45% of total body heat loss in extreme cold, nearly half your warmth, through one surface. Cover your head, cover your ears, wrap your neck, not optional. Trick 7. Protect your core, not your extremities. Your body is already running triage. When it senses cold, it restricts blood flow to your hands and feet first to protect your organs. Cold hands are your body working correctly. The danger is when your core temperature drops. Prioritize your chest, abdomen, armpits, groin, and the back of your neck, the arterial zones where warm blood runs closest to the surface. Trick 8. Use the help position. Developed by physiologist John Hayward in 1975, this is documented military survival doctrine. Draw your knees to your chest, cross your arms over your torso, and keep those arterial zones covered and compressed. It reduces core cooling by approximately 31% compared to lying flat. Don't sprawl in the cold. Curl. Trick 9. Sleep with someone. This is not sentiment, it is thermal science. 3 or 4 people sharing a small enclosed space combine roughly 300 to 400 watts of continuous body heat. Research on group sleeping estimates it reduces cold exposure death risk by approximately 40% compared to sleeping alone. Experienced, unsheltered people know this. It is not a coincidence. It is strategy. Trick 10. Walk when insulation isn't enough. Jason Everly told Street Roots he sometimes walked through the entire night and slept after breakfast when temperatures climbed. Muscular activity generates body heat. Shivering, your body's involuntary version, can raise heat production up to 5 times your resting rate. When your shelter fails, your legs are your furnace. Trick 11. Scavenge sterno cans. Everly described collecting discarded sterno fuel cans from hotel dumpsters and combining remnants from partially used cans. He called this marrying them to create a full can that produces 4 hours of heat and can raise the ambient shelter temperature by 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. One full sterno can cost $3 new. Discarded ones cost nothing. Trick 12. Make an alcohol burner. Everly also described pouring 91% isopropyl alcohol, under $2 at any pharmacy, into an aluminum can lined with tissue paper to serve as a wick. It provides better sustained heat than a candle, requires ventilation and caution, but it is a documented, practiced field technique. Trick 13. Drink warm liquid to raise core temperature from inside. Hot coffee, broth, and warm water absorbed through the digestive system raise core temperature more reliably than any hand warmer applied to the outside. Outreach workers in Chicago, Minneapolis, and New York document warm drinks as a primary cold emergency intervention, not a comfort measure. Trick 14. Know where urban heat lives. Steam grates, subway vents, laundromat exhaust vents, hospital lobbies, 24-hour fast food restaurants, and public transit cars running through the night. Jennifer Toth documented in her 1993 book, The Mole People, that New York's subway and railroad tunnels maintain a year-round temperature of 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit from the thermal mass of the Earth and the heat of passing trains, even during a blizzard above. Thousands of people have known this for decades. The city calls it trespassing. These men call it surviving. Trick 15. Find a windbreak before you find a blanket. Wind strips the insulating layer of warm air your body builds around your skin. When winds reach 46 miles per hour, convective heat loss is more immediately dangerous than the raw temperature number. A building corner, a concrete overpass pillar, a dumpster wall, any solid barrier cutting wind can reduce perceived temperature by 20 degrees or more. Experienced unsheltered people read urban wind patterns the way sailors read currents. Trick 16. Recognize when shivering stops and understand what it means. Mild hypothermia means uncontrollable shivering and impaired fine motor control. Then the shivering stops. This is the moment people misread as warming up. It is not. It is the body shutting down its own heat-generating mechanism. Core temperature has entered moderate hypothermia, below 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The calm after shivering is not comfort, it is crisis. Trick 17. Breathe through fabric. Cold air drawn directly into the lungs accelerates core cooling. Experienced cold weather sleepers breathe into a scarf, a jacket collar, a folded cloth, or anything that pre-warms incoming air before it reaches the bronchi. One thin layer between your mouth and the outside air makes a measurable difference across a full night. Trick 18. Eat high-calorie food before sleep. Your body burns calories to generate heat through shivering and metabolic activity. Going to sleep hungry in extreme cold is like running your furnace on empty. Outreach workers across multiple cities distribute peanut butter, granola, and whole milk before nights of severe cold for this exact reason, because caloric fuel supports the body's heat output through the night. Trick 19. Insulate inside your shoes, not just around them. Cold enters through the soles faster than the sides because of direct conduction to the frozen surface. A cut piece of cardboard inside your shoe creates a thermal break between your foot and the ground. Buffalo soldiers on the northern plains in the 1870s wore bison hide moccasins over their boots for this same reason, because the army issued them inferior gear and they refused to lose their feet to it. Trick 20. Watch the people around you. Bluish lips, pale or gray skin, slurred speech, stumbling, unusual confusion. These are the clinical signs of worsening hypothermia in someone else. Checking on neighbors is not charity in an unsheltered community. It is infrastructure. Liz Coppola of the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless described outreach routes, checking on specific individuals every 2 to 3 hours during polar vortex events. That is a system. It was working before anyone gave it a name. Tricks 21st through 25th. The network itself. This is the one the gear catalog will never sell you. Which specific laundromat stays unlocked until 2 in the morning? Which hospital lobby does not cycle security after midnight? Which steam grate stays warm through a full blizzard? Which outreach worker comes through this block at what hour? Who in the camp has extra cardboard? Who knows how to marry a sterno can? This knowledge is not written down. It does not exist in any app. It passes person to person, block to block, winter to winter, and it has kept more people alive than any product on any shelf. Here is why all of it got buried. 3 forces. Speed, knowledge that lives in people and travels by word, cannot be manufactured or sold, so the industry replaced it with packaging. Profit, the fact that crumpled newspaper insulates on the same principle as $300 synthetic fill, is a commercial catastrophe, so that fact was buried. And new technology, central heating, cheap synthetic fiber, and mass-manufactured outerwear made old survival principles seem unnecessary. Until the power goes out, until the car dies on the highway in a whiteout, until you are the one with nothing. The CDC data shows the hidden cost of all of it. Hypothermia deaths doubled in a generation inside the most gear-saturated economy in human history. Product replaced principle. The people left holding the consequences. Black men who are overrepresented in homelessness by a factor of 3 to 1, stripped of the economic safety net by a century of deliberate policy, paid with their lives. First, collect 10 large flat-pack cardboard boxes from any grocery store or electronics retailer. They are free. Store them somewhere accessible. You now own the single most critical piece of cold weather survival equipment. Second, build your 3-layer system from what you already own: moisture managing base layer, loft mid layer, windproof shell. A rain jacket over a fleece over a thermal top outperforms a single expensive jacket because you can manage each layer independently. The Army has known this since 1941. Third, and most important, memorize this one truth. When shivering stops suddenly, that is not relief. That is an emergency. Tom Gordon, Jason Everly, the men in the tunnels beneath New York, the thousands surviving right now in cities across this country. They are the heirs to Harriet Tubman, guiding people north through winter storms because the long nights gave cover and the cold kept pursuers inside. To the Buffalo Soldiers, wrapping themselves in bison hides on the frozen plains because the Army gave them inferior equipment and they refused to die quietly. This is not a story about poverty. It is a story about mastery under pressure and a country that never looked closely enough to see it. The knowledge was not lost. It was never looked for in the right places. If this changed how you see survival, hit like and subscribe. We are here to dig up the knowledge the industry buried and the history the textbooks skipped because it was built by people who had no margin for failure. Drop a comment telling us what forgotten knowledge you want us to investigate next. There is a lot more where this came from.